Let's see. Let's see, we're live. Let me just check my chat. All right, I'm pretty sure we're live, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, just in case. It's probably not working on Instagram, but I'll work on it. It should be live on YouTube for those that are watching. All right. So today we got a deal subject to deal, and this has a partial claim on it, which is really, really smart. If you guys have not seen my podcast with Jimmy Au was one of the OGs who did the first sub 2 deal in the sub 2. You're going to learn about partial claims, which is just another way for you to reduce your entry fee on a subject to deal where there may have been arrears, right? If you don't have to pay off the arrears to catch them up, then all of a sudden you reduce your entry fee significantly for these deals. So this is going to be a really, really good podcast for you guys to check out. And you guys can look to youtube.com/@Kent_HG. And the episode with Jimmy Al is going to be right there. Okay. Now, this deal is in San Antonio, 3607 Southton VW. Don't know what that stands for. Or I'm just drawing a blank. 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1246 square feet. Year built 2017. Monthly debt service of $148,000. I don't have the. Doesn't look like I have the purchase price here. So I'm just going to go ahead and look it up and see what's going on. This estimate $212,000. Good to know. We're taking over a loan of $141,000. All right. Good to know. So let's go ahead and check on this property. Looks relatively new when this property was sold, I'm guessing. So let's go ahead and get the county of this property. Bexar, San Antonio. Okay, great. So in order for us to get the rent, we're going to go to access small area FMRs, click on FY 2024 FMR, and we're going to get the Texas. Boom. Bexar County. And now we're going to have the rent ceiling by bedroom count by zip code 78222. 78222, and you can see the 3-bedroom rent is $1,790. Okay, $1,790. And then the 4-bedroom is $2,130. Just gonna have a quick look here. 78222. 78222. Boom. That's a 4-bedroom rent. Okay, now that we got those numbers, we want to get the market rent next. Now, for the market rent, I just go to affordablehousing.com, go to the owner section, market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in the bedroom count, and I'm going to be able to see the average market rent. It says right here, there's 1628. 1628, that's the most important number because that says that for 25 units within a 0.33 mile radius, the average rent is 1628. And that's going to be very important for the rent reasonableness test. And for those that are not familiar with the rent reasonableness test, typically, most housing authorities have this test called the rent reasonableness test, and that's going to be right here if I can pull it up for you. This is from the Housing Choice Voucher Guidebook, and HCV stands for Housing Choice Voucher, which was previously known as the Section 8 program. Now, when you have all these numbers here, it says, hey, in conducting rent reasonableness, the PHA must determine whether the rent to the owner is a reasonable rent in comparison to rent for other comparable unassisted units. This essentially means that you cannot rent out a property for a higher price than what the typical market rent is standing for. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, there are certain areas or pockets where they go above the fair market rent for that area, maybe because they need to spur additional private investment in the area, but you really had to figure out whether that applies to you. Now, if you saw the podcast that we did with Jimmy, you might notice certain areas that allows for that. If you looked at our prior podcast with Chai, there's certain areas in Spring, Texas that goes above the market rent, where Section 8 actually pays more. So you just got to be very careful. Even though when they say, hey, they pay above the market rent, you have to understand whether or not they include certain utilities. Sometimes it does include utilities. And when it includes certain utilities, you have to remember to add back on the associated expenses with covering things such as water, gas, electricity, etc., and sewer, obviously. So when you are able to do that, that's how you are able to find outsized market opportunities when you find certain areas here. Now, on this deal in particular, this person says that the Section 8 rent is $1,840, but the standard market rent is $1,600. When I looked at the standard market rent, we do $1,628, so that $1,600 is pretty accurate. Now, this person is pretty well aware of this area and what they're paying Section 8, so I'm going to assume that $1,840 is true, but it might include utilities. So I'm going to underwrite this deal using $1,600 as the rent. We got $25,000 entry fee, so let's go plug those numbers in. I got $15,000 for the cash to seller, and I got $10,000 for the assignment fee to get a total of $25,000. I'm underwriting this property at $1630. Let's see what I would get there. I'm going to put in a purchase price of $212,000, just using the rough estimate. But really, all we're doing is just taking over the loan subject to, so it doesn't really matter because I'm just looking for cash flow right now. That's all I'm underwriting for at this point. Now, when I put in the rehab calculator, in the description, it says that they need to repair the AC of the condenser. So let's make sure we put that number in. So I got $1,500 for the roof, just in case there's any issues there. $500 for the landscaping. I'm assuming that I need to repaint the place. So at 1246 square feet, that's all I need to do. I'm going to assume I only need to replace maybe 25% of flooring. $8 a square foot, so not much there. Let me go find the area for the HVAC. Let me replace the air conditioning unit for about $2,000, just roughly estimating. So that's going to equal to about a 12.2K rehab there. All right, that's going to flow over into right here. I got my $1,630 for rent, and now when I get the total PITI, what was disclosed there? $1,389. I'm going to come down here to the property tax section. I'm going to type in $1,389, and I'm going to subtract the Subto principals portion, the interest portion, and the principal portion of whatever underlying debt there is. Doesn't really matter because that doesn't sound like there's any payments anyways for the partial claim. So I'm just going to leave that in there because it just amounts to a backed up number, which means that I knew that the total number was $1,389. So I'm trying to back into what my property tax number is and what my insurance number is. Based off of that, that's how I determine whether or not something like this is a deal. Boom, boom, boom. Let me see if there's any questions on the chat. 1 second. Okay. No questions on the chat. That's perfect. That's still going. Perfect. All right. So now that I got all these numbers in hand, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and check the total cash flow number. I'm going to add extra $30 for insurance just because it's going up every single year. I am going to lower the HOA to what it was disclosed for, or $10.59 a month. $10.59 a month. I got 10% for maintenance because something always breaks to the home. I got 10% for property management, and I got 5% for vacancy, which means this results as a 3-bedroom property as is. This would result in a total of $1,630 for cash and minus 207. I'm sorry, minus 207 for cash flow. It's 207. That's a negative 5.8% return, assuming we bought the property for $212,000, which we probably would have bought it for less, but we're just doing out the scenarios here. Now, that's not a deal, right? But if you were to say, let's say I got $1,840 for this deal, would that still be a deal? And no, that's not, because technically it's just breaking even. If you believe this is an area where there is a lot of appreciation, then you might say, hey, I'm okay with losing $50 a month. And I might even lose less if there ends up being no maintenance on a deal when I sell it in, let's say, 5 years. That's okay. That's your personal preference. Again, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. Simply showing you all the work I'm doing every single day to get practice in and to get my reps in and to stay consistent. That's all it is. All I'm hoping for is that you guys look at the same deal today, using the same spreadsheet, plugging in the same numbers, and just explain something better than I am explaining it. That's it. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, just go to affordablehousing.io, not .com.io, and you can submit your information right here on the Get Deal Analysis tool, and you get a copy of the spreadsheet without having to DM me anymore. But if you want to DM me, you can still DM me. That's completely up to you. I just found a more streamlined way to send the spreadsheet to other folks because it's not my spreadsheet. I kind of just leveraged it from other people, a few combinations of other folks' efforts, and I kind of tweaked it and I modified it so that I can analyze deals a lot faster and a lot quicker. And the whole point of this exercise is for you to figure out, hey, is this a deal or is it not a deal? And if you get to a point where you quickly realize, hey, I can start ruling out deals really fast, that's the most ideal situation. Why? Because what do we want to do? We want to avoid burnout. And the only way we can avoid burnout, and typically what causes burnout? Burnout typically comes from doing a ton of work for very, very little results at the end. And that's what I'm trying to avoid for all of you guys. When you get better and better in practice and better ruling out deals, then you don't spend time trying to coordinate efforts, getting someone out there to take photos, getting a handyman out there to walk the site, getting quotes or bids for remodels when it doesn't even do anything for you. Hey, Maheda, thanks for joining today. I appreciate you. And that's why we do this. My sincere hope is that you copy my homework, analyze the same deal, put it on your own YouTube channel, and just claim it as your own work. Using the same spreadsheet, same product, doesn't matter. Just pick one thing, explain it better than I did, and you're going to feel so confident when the time comes, when a deal comes up across the table and slaps you across the face. You're going to recognize when that deal is a deal. And if a partner ever asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? You can point them to your own YouTube channel at that point in time and say, I know this is a deal because I've been looking at deals for the past 250 days. And that could just be you copying my homework for the past 250 days. That's it. Super straightforward. I know how hard it is to get started. I know how hard it is to build a following. I know how hard it is to build that track record. But all you have to do is just start. And I'm hoping this is the easiest way for you to start. And that's why just copying my homework. It's the path of least resistance, hopefully, for a lot of you. So that when a partner asks you why you think it's a deal, you can be really confident and say the whole spiel again. I hope you guys all have an amazing Thursday. I hope you guys spend some quality time with your family and friends today because that's what life is all about. I know I'm going to play with my daughter later. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm traveling this week. I'm in Boston. I'm hanging out with my family. So DM me. You guys are in town. And I will talk to you again tomorrow for day 251. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow.